Hello, people of the internet. I did a fun little speed drawing. I started off this drawing in the most simple way by measuring out the center of the page and drawing a single line. And then I went back through with the marker and started drawing circles. I decided to change from gel pens to markers because for some reason every brand I try either doesn't write smooth or has issues with the smudging, especially with left-handed people. So I decided to give markers a try, and these ones seem to work really, really well. So I went through and did a quick outline and then used a thicker marker to fill them in, which sped up the process a significant amount. Doing dots and filling them in like this with a ballpoint pen is really a pain in the butt. It is very difficult. So I'm really enjoying these new markers. And of course, as always, after I do the initial inking, I usually end up erasing the lines for just getting my gauge for this one. And I wanted to do dots because they're fun and bubbly. And this is really just a nice thing to zone out to draw. And in all honesty, while I was drawing this, I was watching anime, and I had an AFK task in RuneScape going in the background because these legitimately take hours. You are watching this footage at 10 times speed, and this probably took me about 3 hours, and you're watching it in like 15 minutes. So the magic of editing. But after I went through, and I always, with my dots, I like to add little mini outlines with a sharp angle. I don't really know why. I think it just adds a nice little flair to it and doesn't make it not as monotonous as just outlining the dots. So I outline it on each side. I start with one and completing it, and then I eventually move on to the other one. And this is really nice with the pen set I bought because some of the pens are thicker tipped than others. There's even a brush tip I used quite a bit throughout this piece of artwork. And so the fine tips help me get that basic outline, and then the thicker tips help me fold those lines without making too much of a mistake. And I was really worried when I switched to the markers that I wouldn't be able to get those crisp, close lines that I like to get in my artwork. But I was able to get quite a good result. My apologies, for some reason the camera keeps going in and out of focus. It's never done that to me before, but I've also never filmed for 4 hours before, so So after doing the middle one, I go back through, add dots to either side. Now, not all of the dots are going to be complete circles. Some of them can be semicircles because I like the inconsistency. I like making it look like the pattern is kind of colliding in on itself and that it's layered. It gives it a nice effect that I quite like. And I guess it changes based on which one I do, in all honesty, but some of them I go through, draw the dots on each side, and then fill them in, and other ones I go phase by phase. It wasn't like I followed a consistent drawing pattern throughout the whole thing. I have an ADHD brain. I will bounce around topic to topic, and I am very distractible, hence why during the entire filming of this video, I am multitasking, and multitasking hard. Good times. I absolutely love it. And I'm really excited to try to make more of this kind of content because normally this drawing would have taken like 7 or 8 hours on this piece of paper. And the size I use, I believe it's 6x9. These aren't very big sheets of paper, but something like this with that precise line work and filling in all those dots would have taken at least twice as long just in the filling in the dots part, having the thicker tip brush, the brush tip pen really made a difference here, and I was able to get the colors nice and saturated, which I was quite pleased with. So after I did the side dots, I went and started doing the borders on those. I didn't do the weird side or mini border things that I normally like to do because, well, there just wasn't enough room to get it, and I honestly forgot and just kept that pattern all the way through. And I'm so sorry about the focus. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I will fix that in the next video. This is completely experimental. I've never done content quite like this. I've done drawing before, and I've done live narration. I've never did the art, filmed me making the piece of artwork, and then narrating after the fact. So this is very experimental. I quite enjoy this process. I feel like I'm less on the spot, and I was able to bang out so much more work. And you get to see my full creation process without sitting through hours of me rambling. You just have to deal with 15 minutes. So I did the borders again, and in between where the borders didn't quite line up, I filled in a little bit. I didn't get super precise on it, like I didn't try to get it like super precise. I probably could have. I have a fine enough tip marker to do that, but I didn't think it would have benefited the artwork, so I left those areas generally blank. And yes, that was a cut in the recording. I will add a transition, a really short one, but I filmed this in 2 batches because, one, I was a little worried my phone was going to run out of storage while filming, because the first video clip was 9 gigabytes and the second video clip ended up being like 13 gigabytes because filming for extremely long periods of time, and this is sped up by like 10 times or something. Quite a significant speed boost, if you ask me. And I just really banged out this drawing. I really plugged right along, and it was really quite a pleasant one. I really like how this turned out so far. And it was just loads of fun drawing, and sometimes I like to do patterns like this where you don't have to put in a ton of, I guess, thought. You just kind of follow a pattern and let the artwork happen. So there wasn't a ton of brain power going into this drawing. There was still thinking and decisions to be made, like where to put the little mini outlines, and you know, I had to pay attention to how bold I made the outlines. They're not perfectly consistent all the way through, but for hand drawn by eye, they are pretty good. I'd say that's pretty good for hand drawn without tools. The only tool I use throughout this entire thing, other than the markers, is the ruler to get the center of the page measured. And I believe if you count the, I think I did 7 of these total. I don't remember. I could look at the actual finished drawing because I'm recording audio while watching this drawing go fast to help narration. So yeah, it's just, I love doing art like this because I personally find it to be relaxing in the same way people find adult coloring to be relaxing. You just kind of zone out and just go with the flow, let the art do what it's gonna do, and it's just really like a zenful experience. And honestly, I can't just sit and watch TV. I really can't. So if there's a show I kind of want to watch, but I don't need to super attentively watch, I will watch it while drawing. I have a few shows on my radar that I've been watching, but that is another topic for another day. And seriously, what is up with the focus? I am so sorry. I will have to figure out why it did that. I just sincerely apologize. But yeah, this took quite a bit of time. Like, this is a 10 times speed drawing, and it was, you can tell I didn't follow the same coloring pattern, and I'm kind of repeating myself. I am unscripted thus far. I just was writing down the script and thought, you know what? Let's just watch the video while recording audio and see what happens. And going through, you'll notice I spin the paper. My hand, I don't know, is just instinctually wants to move in certain ways. So I feel like churning the page to get a better angle with the pen. I'm going to call them pens. I don't know if they're technically pens or markers, but to get a better angle and to get more control over the lines, I find turning the page very helpful. And one thing you may also have noticed, and it happened way earlier, but my head kind of pokes in a little bit to the frame. This is a habit I'm trying to break while recording. It is very difficult. I instinctually want to get my face right up into that paper and really focus on just be like really close and get into the nitty-gritty details. So if I did that while recording, all you would see is the back of my head / top of my head. Honestly, it's a true glamour shot. So I was struggling to break that habit while also drawing in my style. And mind you, I'm not talking during this, so it was a very weird adjustment. And you could just ever so slightly see the top of my head throughout this video, so I didn't get my face all up in there. I thought maybe I did, because it is really easy to zone out. It is so easy to zone out and just go, oh, I'm just abstract drawing, because I had my normal not recording abstract drawing setup going. So I was expecting to make more mistakes, more moving the page out of frame and stuff. So I'm quite pleased that I didn't do that as much. And I really like how each line is, the dots are vary in size and they don't go in a perfectly straight line, which gives it a really fun, bubbly appearance. And it's really, really honestly cool. I really like doing patterns like this. I did a similar drawing on watercolor back in the summer, and I took a quick peek at that one for inspiration and then did something very different from that one. That one had dots as well, but the way I did the borders and the way I did the dots on it was very, very different. So that's another thing I love about doing these kinds of drawings. I could do I could probably come up with a whole adult coloring book of these designs and have 25 different dot drawings that are each unique in a way that the last one wasn't before, because every single time you draw it, it's different. It's got unique levels. I don't measure things out usually. Maybe I'll mark the center line or the center of the page as a jumping off point, but I don't like meticulously measure where things are going to go, which there are some people who meticulously plan their art and it's absolutely gorgeous and incredible, and my hats go off to them, because I don't have the patience for that kind of work. But I can draw for literal hours and not get bored of it, but I have to let it kind of flow and kind of, I don't know how you say it, but just be what it's going to be. And even ones I put a little more planning into, they don't turn out how I initially envisioned. And part of what helps me get through these long drawings is that curiosity of, what is this going to look like? How is it going to turn out? And did I just waste 8 hours of my life? So it's really, really a curiosity thing that keeps me going through this kind of stuff. And honestly, these markers have lasted 2 ink drawings so far, so I think these are the winners for now. And they were such a lifesaver for this drawing. I swear, if I was doing this with a ballpoint pen, coloring those dots would have taken me 8 hours alone. Not to mention the fine tip on that pen would have been a nightmare to deal with. So, oh, my head's popping in again. But yeah, my art style really lends to having a free-flowing designs, and it's really one of those things that has been adapted to work by hand without tools, and I really appreciate that because anyone can do it with enough practice. You do not need to be super planning, you don't need to be like crazy with it. You can be. I love that you can be. I've done some where I've meticulously measured out sections of the page, but for the most part, you can just jump in and go with the flow, and I really like how this one turned out. It's really bubbly and fun, and I think it'll make a great coloring page overall. But, I mean, it turned out really lovely, and I had loads of fun drawing it. So, overall, I give this one a thumbs up. Alright, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching and putting up with my rambling. I am trying something kind of very new with this, and I love your feedback. I have plans to do other videos like this, but I would really appreciate feedback, and as time goes on, my commentary will improve. Alright, thank you so much, people of the internet, and I'll catch you in the next one.